Okay, guys, welcome back to Johnny's Reloading Bench. Um, I finished up my build videos for the howa superlite, and as I had mentioned in the videos, I'm going to go ahead and do a series for load development. Um, just full disclosure. Sorry, I'm a little tongue tied. Um, I'm not a competitive shooter. I don't shoot as often as I'd like to, at least not anymore. I do have a full time job. I average about 70 hours a week with my commute, so I'm a busy guy. So I don't get to go to the range as much as I would like to. Now, that being said, um, I try to have a good balance between work and family time and time with my wife and time for myself. So I'm going to crank out as much content as I can as it pertains to, this rifle build and reloading and time at the range. But, my two videos for the House Super Light, they went on for quite a while, and I wasn't trying to drag ass with anything. I was just trying to get a lot of information out there and, impressions and thoughts and, data on the build. And I'm gonna try to speed this up a little bit, but basically this is gonna be part one. Part one is just basically going to be an overview, in a sense, of how to get going. Um, so quick background: I've been reloading since probably I want to say 2012, probably 2012, 2013, somewhere around that time frame. So I am experienced. Take whatever information I give you with a grain of salt. I am not going to be giving load data. I don't know what YouTube's policy is on that, and I'm not going to read it. If YouTube wants to flag one of my videos, I don't give a shit. They can flag one of my videos. These are not going to be videos for me to 100% give you load data. Now, I will be showing you powder choices. I will be showing you bullet choices. I will even go so far as to show you what powder charges I'm going to start with and how I will fine tune those powder charges. However, I will not be explaining what I'm going to do for my bullet seating depth in this video series. And again, this short video series, I'm merely just going to show you how to use the Hornady overall length gauge with a modified case. And you don't need to buy a modified case. There's tons of forums out there, and there's even tons of videos out there that show how you can get. I forget the classification of drill bit, but it's a drill bit that you can typically put on like a lathe. And how Gavin Gear does a good video on Ultimate Reloader on how to do it on a lathe. His videos are awesome. I love that guy's channel. But these are like $8, $10, $12 for a modified case. It's really, but it's not that expensive when you really think about it, because even if you are shooting factory ammo first, you want to use an overall length gauge. I think that's the safest way. There's other tricks that you can do to find exactly where the bullet you want to use it, to find out exactly where it touches the lands. There's guys who have used Sharpies. They'll Sharpie, they'll basically color a bullet. I'm just going to use this 45 as an example. They basically color the whole, and this is smashed, by the way. This was a bad bullet. But yeah, my 1911 didn't like this from my first load development. See how it like stripped the copper plating off of this. I'm sorry, I'm filming this on a Samsung Galaxy. I don't know why I can't get that to focus, but it stripped this copper plating off of it. But basically, what some people do is they'll take like a Sharpie and they'll color the entire thing with a Sharpie. They'll stick it on the case in a fired case because it's loose inside the throat of the case. And then what they'll do is they'll leave it protruding outward, and they'll just slowly put it forward in the bolt and lock the bolt down. And basically, I've it's just a weird way to do it. The lands will basically cut like a line through the Sharpie film. It's just a weird way of doing it. I have seen some people do it. I don't like doing it like that. I like to take precise measurement, and I actually do it a few times. So if I'm gonna shoot three different bullets to see what load the gun likes more, I will take three separate measurements with three different bullets. So like I got Barnes Nozzler and Hornady bullets that I'll be using. So I will take three separate Barnes bullets and three separate Nozzler bullets and three separate Hornady bullets. And I will make sure that I am getting a consistent measurement, because the other thing that can tell you too is how consistent the bullet is from the manufacturer. You want to be shooting obviously consistent weights, consistent lengths on the bullets. Now, I will say, and I'm not going to open these now because this is just an overview video for this series, but just to kind of get some information out there, Barnes is a phenomenal company, and I'm doing this load development with non-lead rounds. But I will say, I'm actually least impressed right now with the Barnes. I'll just open it. I'm least impressed right now with the Barnes LRX because, and I'll see if I can get this on camera. Look at that, like the tips, they're like offset, like weird. They're not like centered on the bullets. They look like, they look horrible. And it's not just one. Here, I'll set that there. It's not just one. This one's even worse. Like, it's not even centered on the bullet. It just doesn't look good. So I'm kind of going out on a whim here, but so far, if I was just gonna base off of these three, so off of the Barnes LRX, the Nozzler E-tip, and the Hornady CX. So far, first impressions, just looking at these three, I am least impressed with the Barnes, and I have years and years of experience shooting Barnes bullets. I love them. I have never seen such an ugly bullet. I don't know how these polymer tips just look so ugly. They're not even centered on the bullets. They're like offset and weird, and I don't know if that's going to play into the accuracy or not. I may just be voicing a non-needed gripe, but basically, as we're going to progress through this video series, I'm not just going to do this in one video. This is just the overview video, and I'm just going to get a little bit of information out there. One thing I want to touch is on the brass. So Sammy Spec 6.5 Creedmoor. And again, full transparency, this is not my first time loading. I have years and years of experience. This is just my first time loading for 6.5 Creedmoor. So Sammy Spec is 1.910 inches for the, I guess you would call that the maximum case trim length. But then it also says minus 20 thousandths. So I was a little taken back by that. I just grabbed four random pieces of brass. This is Starline brass, by the way. I went with Starline short primer. And the reason being is I'm reading online, and again, I don't have much experience with 6.5 Creedmoor, but I'm reading online that a lot of people have good success with the small rifle primers as far as velocities and case pressures, and just overall, a lot of people seem to gravitate towards the small rifle primer. However, it seems the best brass that you can get for 6.5 Creedmoor is Lapua brass large rifle primer. So it's weird. 6.5 seems to have this total rabbit hole as far as it all depends on what you want to do. Now, I have read that the large rifle primer is more reliable if you are going to wet climates. So if you're going to be hunting in Alaska, where it's super cold, super wet, maybe the Pacific Northwest, where you're going to be just constantly getting rained on, there's a potential for your primers to get wet, which I don't see how that would happen. You guys got to keep your ammo dry, but I've heard that the reliability is better. But I'm also reading, though, that on the small primer pocket, the flash hole is actually bigger. It's like it's like a quarter millimeter wider or half a millimeter. I don't know, but it's just weird. It's just this weird rabbit hole um, of just information. So we'll get through it together because I am learning something entirely new. I am no expert on 6.5 anything. I'm not an expert on anything 6.5. Especially Creedmoor. This is going to be my first time not only loading for 6.5, but this is my first time loading for 6.5 Creedmoor. So we're going to get through this together. Now, something to note, you need to make sure whatever load development you're going to do, you are using the proper reloading manuals. Now, I really gravitate towards Lyman stuff. I've been using their stuff for years, and I think Lyman has probably the best book on the market. I am going to get the 51st edition because I believe that came out, I think it was this year when it came out. It may have been late last year. I can't remember. But I will get an updated book. But I love the 50th. I used to get, here, just to show you an example. I used to get just these little tiny books. And it was good when I first got into reloading. These little books were fine. But you know, as I buy more and more guns now and as I load more and more calibers, it's good to get books. So keep that in mind. You can never have enough books. And if you're not a book type of person, you can get load data from the manufacturer's websites of the bullets. So all three of these manufacturers, they offer load data on their websites. And when we get into the nuts and bolts of the reloading series that we're going to do here, the load development series, I am going to have printouts of each of these bullets from the manufacturer's website, and it will list the powders. Now, I'm not going to get super in-depth using different types of powders. I'm just going to go with the tried and true H3 4350 because from my research online, most people who load 6.5, they tend to gravitate towards that. That's like the tried and true 6.5 Creedmoor powder. So I'm going to roll with that. And then throughout the series, I'll just go through, you know, basically start to finish the whole load development from, you know, modified case and overall length gauge to get our measurements for each of these rounds to the lands. And again, I'm going to do 3 separate bullets from each of these, take 3 separate measurements, because the reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to see if there's a variance between, like if I pull 3 random Barnes bullets, I want to see if, you know, how much variance there is between those 3 versus how much variance. And it's not necessarily that I think it's going to matter that much. I just want to make sure that, I mean, right out of the gate, whatever load development, whatever of these 3 is the most accurate is the bullet that this gun is going to shoot. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Unless I can find a 4th bullet that I feel is more magical than any of these 3. But just for load development, we are going to start with these 3. So if you stumble on this video or if you stumble on any of my other videos, I highly recommend you like, comment, or subscribe, especially subscribe if you are a hunter who lives in California. You know how frustrating it can be, not only to find factory ammo, but how much factory ammo costs, especially if you're a hunter. It's not very sexy when you build a rifle, whether you load or don't load, but you shoot all this lead ammo throughout the year and you get your gun sighted in, you got your dope cards made, and you take it to the range, you know, throughout the year, and you're shooting these different targets at all these different distances. It's not sexy when you have to basically resight everything for non-lead ammo, which, you know, you just spent, you know, $60, $70 on a box of premium federal non-lead ammo just to go hunting. It's just insane. So if you're an experienced reloader, if you're new to reloading, if you built a new howa superlite, if you're a hunter in California, I think there's tons of viewers who can get something out of this. So please subscribe. I want to grow this channel. I am going to make better content. Help me with video editing too. Help me comment and tell me some tips and tricks for me on how to make better content, edit videos so I don't have to do all these cheesy ass one take videos. Um, but I'm gonna basically conclude this first part. This basically is just the first video where I'm just basically explaining, my overall goal for this short video series. And I promise my videos are gonna get shorter after this. But all right, everybody, have a good one.